I'm Diane Hall with AARP Missouri, and I'd like to welcome you to our second yoga conditioning class, part of AARP Missouri's Moving It Fitness series. Now, apologies to those of you who tried to join last week, but were frustrated by our technology. That's on AARP. We messed up. Yoga conditioning, though, is an 8-week class, and you're going to easily be able to follow along, even if this is your first class, because our instructor gives excellent explanations and cues. And the yoga conditioning class will run through August 4th. This class is suitable for many levels of fitness. However, you know your own limitations. Please do not try to go beyond what you know is right for you. If you have any concerns, check with your doctor before participating in this or any other AARP fitness offering. AARP also offers another class live called Zumba Light, and we'll have a new session of Forever Fit that starts on July 5th. And we have links to past programs like Tai Chi, the earlier Forever Fit, Movement for Life. All these you can participate in from the recordings. You can find links to our past, present, and upcoming programming at aarp.org/movingit. All of our programming is created with people 50 plus in mind, but it's good for anybody of any age, anywhere. AARP hopes that our fitness series like yoga conditioning will be a great option for those who may not be able or who may be hesitant to attend a traditional fitness class, like a caregiver or someone who has health concerns, or just for the convenience of working out of your home. Sometimes it's just easier. In addition to our online fitness classes, AARP has resources for caregivers, COVID-19 information, and technology information on our website at aarp.org/nearyou. Now, if this is your first time with an AARP fitness class or using Zoom, we are in the webinar format, so you're already muted and your cameras are off. Please use the chat to let us know that you're here, how you're doing, ask questions, make comments. And also, if you want to stick around a few minutes after class is over, our instructor will answer your questions about exercises or specific modifications. So let's get started with yoga conditioning. Our instructor is Tyler Ferguson. Hi, Tyler. Tyler, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Diane. Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to have you here and be able to share this practice with you. I'd like to invite you to come to standing or mountain pose. We're going to begin our breath work in a standing mountain pose today. Take a few minutes just to rock, or take a few seconds just to rock back and forth, and allow the bottoms of your feet to connect to the surface, connect to the ground that you're working out on, maybe making more contact area of the skin on the bottom of the foot, really letting the foot root into the floor so that you can feel nice and connected. And then as you arrive, soften the knees. Notice a tendency to lock out the knees, just soften them out. And then begin to expand and lift and lengthen through the spine. As you feel your heels plug into the floor, also press into the big toe mound and the piggy toe mound of your foot. Take your eye gaze here and let it soften. So maybe drop away from the screen and fall to just the natural place where your eyes want to fall in front of you, your drishti or your gazing point. Or you can even close your eyes and just feel how your weight feels in your feet and in your body at this point. Do you have a tendency to place your weight more in your heels or more in your toes? And can you make some slight little movements and adjustments here to find a balance in between? And when I say toes, what I really mean to say is the heels and the balls of your feet. In fact, shifting the weight between the big toe mound, piggy toe mound, and heel, can you lift and spread the toes without moving your body? If your body moved when your toes lifted, place the toes back down, readjust. Feel the triangle of the feet, and see if you can lift your toes without your body moving. If your body is moving, then you just have a little bit more weight forward in the toes. You're going to try to get back in the heels a little bit more. Also, can you notice where your weight is side to side? Do you have a tendency to hold the weight more in the insides of your feet or the outsides of your feet? And maybe explore with just putting a little pressure to the inside and then rolling and putting a little bit of pressure to the outside. And then see if you can find halfway between those two places. And when you feel nice and balanced in the feet, once again, lengthen up through the spine. You can close your eyes here or keep your eye gaze soft. Let the arms hang heavy down along the sides. Begin to notice inward by following your breath inside through your inhalation. Let your awareness stay in the body on your exhalation. See if you can slow down your breath here and make the inhalation smooth. Notice if your breath is choppy in different areas, and can you smooth it out, not only in the inhalations and exhalations, but in the transitions between the two. As you're softening and smoothing out your breath, can you slow it down and find a little bit of length in the inhalation and a little bit of length in the exhalation? As you're working to smooth and lengthen the breath, can you notice how it feels on the inside of your body? Are you drawing your breath in from your belly, or are you drawing your breath in from your chest? And can you activate in the belly and start to pull the breath in from there, filling up the lungs from the bottom lobes to the middle lobes to the top lobes? And as you exhale out, maybe you notice that the belly collapses to the spine or the midline. And how does the breath feel on the inside of your body? Can you also expand in the side rib cage and the back ribs as if the torso is like a balloon? And as when the air comes in, you're expanding in all directions, filling up. On your exhale, are you contracting from the side ribs and from the back body? As you begin to explore and find these different cues to assist you with your breath, just continue with 2 more rounds of breath here. Your biggest inhalation, strong exhalation. And after your second breath, open up your eyes. Find some movement in your body and your feet. Draw your shoulders up into your ears. Slide your shoulders down your back. One more time, shoulders come up and down. Draw your navel to your spine. Feel the feet rooted down into the earth. And now inhale the arms up, reach overhead. Fill up completely, expand, and then exhale your arms down. Keep moving, inhalations and exhalations. What I want you to learn here is I don't want you to feel like you have to move your arms up and follow me. I'm demonstrating the activity that we're doing right now. It's inhaling the arms up and down and moving with the breath. But you should look different than me. You should be moving your arms at a different pace. It should take you less time or more time to get your arms up to the top. I want this to be your movement, your exploration. It's important in a yoga class as the teacher invites you to move with your breath, that you do indeed move with your breath and not with the visual image presented in front of you, which is the teacher moving with their breath. Let this be your own workout. Let this be your own practice. It should always be your own practice. If there are movements that don't feel safe or correct to you or set in your body, then let go of those movements. Don't feel the need like you have to do anything that I offer today. These are just simply ideas and offerings to get you to move and find sensation throughout the body and movement. Let's do one more breath together. And this time, inhale the arms up. Keep the arms up overhead, remaining overhead. Grab your opposite elbows if that feels safe in your shoulders. If you have a safe shoulder injury, you can place your hands here. Otherwise, I'm going to grab my left elbow with my right hand, pull it up and over, pushing down through my left foot as I come up and over. Pause here for a full inhale and an exhale. And then rise back up to the center and find this activation on the other side. My left hand is grabbing my right elbow. Pull and lift and lengthen, finding space between the rib and the hip on my right side body. Inhale, exhale, up and over. I'm pushing through my right foot as I can create space in the right side of the body. Pause and take a breath into this rib cage on the right side of your body. And then on your exhale, come back up to center. Stay right here for another round, or lift and lengthen through the arm. Grab your wrist. Inhale, lengthen. Up and over. Again, if you have a shoulder injury, this might not feel great for you, so just choose one of the more modified options. Hands across the chest or grabbing elbows. And then on your exhale, bring yourself back up. On your exhale, not mine, inhale, lift and lengthen, arms reach. Arm reaches overhead, half moon pose. Exhale over to the side, breathe into the space, to the length. On your exhale, bring yourself back up to center. Separate the hands, draw the elbows down. Feel the shoulders move down the back as the elbows come down. From here, lift the heart. So pull the chest, lift the heart forward. Draw your navel to your spine and start to turn on your glutes, firming your glutes a little bit. Let the front of your hips drift open over your toes. It's a tiny little back bend there. Stay long and lifted in the spine. And then bring the fronts of your hips back over the arches of your feet and arms down to your side. Working our ankles right now, just lift and lower your right heel, finding alignment as you lift and lower through the heel. And then put as much pressure down in your big toe mound and your pinky toe mound as it feels good to you. I like to really spread my toes here when I lift. And I think about as the heel lifts, just the fascia on the bottom of the foot kind of getting massaged or lengthened or pulped. And then as the heel is lift the heel, pause here, roll to the piggy toe edge of the foot, the piggy toe mound, and then roll into the big toe mound. And then again, as much sensation as you want to invite in without pain. Find this little windshield wiper movement in the knee. Notice you'll have some movement happening in the hip, and then you're going to have some movement happening in the ankle, and maybe even some stretches, depending on how much pressure, how much weight you put in the ankle. And then bring your knee back into alignment. The heel goes down, shift your weight, and find that on the other side. So lift and lengthen. So we're coming up into what I like to call the foot fold here. And for me, the ability to articulate through the foot, to lift the heel up, and to comfortably press into the foot fold can really inform some of your more complicated yoga poses, like going from plank to down dog, going from down dog to plank, high crescent lunge. Some of those poses matter that you have this ankle strength and mobility. Keep your heel lifted and then start to find your wave. So the knee is going to windshield wiper. You're finding pressure, big toe mound, pinky toe mound. And don't underestimate the power of this work. So a lot of times we think about working out, our wellness, our time is, we should be sweating, our heart should be pounding. But if your ankles aren't strong, and if they're not mobile, it's going to be harder to do some of those more complicated exercises you associate with your workout. Good. And bring your heel back down. From here, take your eye gaze. It might not be on the screen at me. And just lift both heels. Come to standing. The toes are spread at the bottom. And then lower heels down. Press up. And then just like your inhales and your exhales, keep doing this with me. So you can look at me maybe for a second to see what I'm doing. I'm just lifting and lowering in the heels. But try to make these reps, we're going to go for about 10 of them here, smooth like the breath. So when you were observing the breath and you were maybe finding areas where you sped up or you slowed down or you had some little glitches, notice the same thing in this movement. Can you lift under control? And can you lower or decelerate under control? And both are important. A lot of times we work on the lift portion, right? When we come up here and then we turn it off and we come back down. So lifting and lowering under control, 2 more here. Maybe your calf muscles are talking to you here. Lift it up and exhale, lower it down. Let's take the right foot, step it back so you're on your foot fold, and then drop the heel down a little bit. Turn your hips forward. Maybe get a stretch in your calf muscle. Now lift the heel and lower. Lift the heel and lower. Maybe that'll work out in the calf muscle. So this is like a high crescent lunge. And then as you lift the heel, you're coming forward. So you're creating that movement to come forward out of your high crescent lunge. We're just using it to stretch the calf muscle from that work. Bring your right foot forward, step your left foot back. So you have your foot fold that we practiced. You can drop your heel down for a warrior foot. So when the heel is down, that's a warrior foot. Get a little stretch in the calf there. Now peel up the heel and then lift and lower. As you're lifting and lowering, not only are you getting that little calf stretch, but notice how the weight shifts into the front foot and how the weight shifts into the back foot. So you're controlling these weight shifts with your ankle, which are an important element in your transitions in your yoga poses. So remember when we said squirrel? I just saw a squirrel. This wasn't on my list. Take your left foot and step it forward. Let's come into chair pose. Your feet are going to be hip distance apart. So you start in mountain pose to find your chair pose. Send your hips back behind your heels as if you're sitting down. And I like to take my arms forward just for a bit of a counterbalance as I'm getting into the pose. And then bring your hands to your chest. Optimally, what you're looking for in the pose is that the angle of your trunk from your shoulders to the hip is similar of the angle of your leg. So this is a pretty decent chair pose for me right now. If you're hanging out in this shape, you're really not in a chair pose, you're hinging your trunk forward too much. So you would try to lift your trunk, and the chair pose is about the sitting part. It's about getting the booty lower. Bring your hands into prayer and find your drishti once again, taking your eye gaze off of the screen, letting it just naturally fall forward to the rug or the floor in front of you or a spot on the wall. See if you can start to tear your feet apart. If you've never heard that cue before, you're new with me. It's as if I was sliding my feet away from each other, but they're not going anywhere. See if that informs your chair pose. Inhale here, exhale, stand up nice and tall. Wiggle out your legs. We're going to visit chair pose a few more times. Go ahead and find your chair pose again. You don't have to get super deep. Bringing your hands into your chest at prayer. See if you can put your weight in your heels and lift and move and wiggle your toes. So you want to have your weight in your heels here. Thinking about your ankles. We tore the ground apart before. Maybe we can crush the ground together. It's a little bit harder in chair, but just see how that informs your chair pose. Feel some muscle groups turning on there. Take an inhale here. And then exhale, stand tall. Now, there's a relationship between these two poses, chair and mountain. And when you transition back and forth between the two of them, you come up with a squat. So let's find that together. Come down into your chair pose. Stand up into your mountain pose. Inhale, chair pose. Arms can go forward or at prayer. Exhale, drive your fist down, squeeze your glutes, mountain pose. Inhale, chair. Exhale, stand tall, mountain. Inhale. Exhale. You can exhale through the mouth on this one. When we're doing these more dynamic, stronger sets or movements, it's perfectly fine to exhale out through the mouth. 3 more here. Tear the ground apart. Sit a little bit lower. Push through the heels. Stand tall. Tear the ground apart. Feel your seat coming down like a rubber band, pulling it down, and then push the heels to the ground to stand. Last time, pull the ground apart. And then exhale. Stand up nice and tall. Moving on to our next pose. I'm going to change my cheat sheet a little bit. Wiggle out the legs, take a moment to relax, and then we're going to find rotation in chair. So one more time, if you'd like to bring your feet together and explore chair with your feet together, your base of support is a little bit smaller here. This would be like in classical yoga asana, would be for the feet to be together, but it is perfectly fine for balance to take your feet apart. So let's come down and find chair pose again. Bring your hands into your chest, get your chair set up, and then shoot and round your arms long. So opening up the back of your shoulder blades, your rhomboids, getting a stretch here. And then let the shoulders come back into normal, and then peel open the right arm, finding rotation. Thinking about the rib cage rotating towards the direction of the arm you reach to the back. Let that arm sweep down to the side. Feel the rib cage rotate back to the start position. Same arm. Peel open the arm. But even though I'm cueing the arm, feel the rib cage rotate on the axis of the spine. Reach the hand back, maybe look back, and sweep the arm down one more time. Reach, rotate, open. Weight is in the heels. Notice if you're drifting your weight forward to your toes. Really firing up the posterior chain, asking your glutes to work for you. Hands come back to center, stand tall, mountain pose. Knuckles point down to the ground. So in mountain pose, our feet are grounding, our limbs are moving downward, but our spine and the crown of our head are reaching upwards. Let's find our rotations on the other side. Come into your chair, bring your hands together, open up the shoulder blades. So I'm pulling the shoulder blades away from each other here, just a little stretch. And then I'm gonna release my hands and let the shoulders come back to center. Opposite arm, peel and find rotation. So just like our breath was smooth and steady, and it didn't speed up or slow down, I want you to find that same idea in these movements. So sure, yes, you can get from point A to point B much faster than me. But can you move with your breath and then let the breath be the guide for how long it should take to complete the movement? And use that time to observe, feel, and notice. Maybe you feel different on one side than the other side. And come to standing. And shake yourself out. So I like to do these little bouncy things just to release any residual tension in the body that we created from those poses. Let's toe heel the feet. And this is a skill to get. So get used to pivoting. So you'll notice I put my heels in the ground, I picked up and I pivoted my toes out. Now my weight goes on my toes and I pivot my heels out. So toe heel, practice that pivot. So it's helpful if you're on a surface that's conducive to this pivoting. And then I've come to what we'll call the straddle stance. So my feet are slightly wider than my hips. Place your hands on your hips and then pick up your right toes, putting the weight in your right heel, and pivot out 45 degrees or 90 degrees. So it's nice if you map out some landmarks in your practice. If you're working on a mat, then your landmarks are the long side of the mat and the short side of the mat. If you don't have a mat, you can use the walls of your room. So when we picked up and pivoted our toes, they're pointing for me to the short side of the mat or to the wall across the room. Allow the knee to bend and stack right over the ankle of the toe that you bent out. And then let your back heel either fall back a little bit or the outside edge be even with the mat. Take your hands, rotate the flesh of your quad so that it's a little externally rotated here. Peek down, see your big toe in between your thigh. Notice if the shoulders want to travel forward with the knee, pull them back. So feel that alignment. The hips can be at an angle, and then float the arms up. There's your warrior two. Bring your attention to your rear leg or your back leg, and notice if there's any bends in the leg. So can you straighten out the leg? Maybe pushing to the outside edge of the foot, even though you have a little internal rotation. Place your hands on your hips, straighten out your front leg. Inhale, exhale, find your warrior two. Keep moving in this fashion. Inhale, straighten out the legs. Exhale, land in your warrior two. As you're doing this work, smooth it out, just like we've done our other movements, smoothing it out with the breath, working to land into that activation of your warrior two each time you land. So when you come to your warrior two, is your knee stacked over your ankle? Is your knee rotated toward the piggy toe? Good. Are your shoulders landing over your hips each time you land into your warrior two? Can you find extension through the arms as you land? Last one, inhale here. Exhale, find your warrior two. Rotate your palms up to the ceiling and feel how your chest expands. Let that inform your practice. Now to turn your palms back down, just do it at the wrists. So keep expansion in the chest. Take your back hand, place it in the small of your back without changing your lower body. Scoop your front hand forward and sweep up, reversing your warrior. Notice my knee didn't change at all. My lower body didn't change. Push through your front heel. Feel the stretch in your right rib cage. If it's your right hand that's extended up, your warrior is reversed. Inhale here. Exhale, land your warrior two. Final time in your warrior two. Hands go at the hips, straighten out the right leg, pivot on the heel, come back to your straddle position. I like to do a little hip wiggle. If you've done mobility with me, you can almost get into your juicy hip circles here. Yeah, just work all that out. And then we'll find it on the other side. So I'm gonna put my heel down, pick up and pivot my toes on the left side. Now, right now, my body, I'm like, that's just a little bit too far for me. So I'm gonna adjust it, that's fine. And then find your bend in your knee. Find your warrior two on this side. Look down, make sure the flesh is rotated outward. You can just see your big toe inside your knee. Your knee is over your ankle, and on your back leg, you either want the outside of the foot parallel to the mat or the heel just a little dropped. In other words, I don't want you an external rotation in the back leg. I want you an internal rotation in the back leg. There we go. Float the arms up. Set your warrior two, find it. I forgot to cue you last time. Your eye gaze is over your front fingers. I'm so used to looking in the screen and avoiding looking away from you that I forget to tell you, your eye gaze is over at your fingers. So your drishti is the very, very tip of your front finger. Place your hands on your hips, straighten out your front leg, inhale here, and then exhale, find your warrior two. Inhale, move nice and slow. And then notice as you transition from your straddle back down into your warrior two, are you just dumping in your joints? Or can you find some activation? Can you feel the heel of the left foot or the bent leg working? Can you feel it connecting and turning onto the glute? Can you hug your quad muscle to the bone or maybe use your hamstrings? Get down into that left leg that you're working and connect to it. Connect to the musculature on the left leg. Can you feel the knee rotating to the piggy toe? Finding that external rotation in the left hip. Are you strong and long through the core as you glide the knee forward? When the knee goes forward, are you avoiding bringing your trunk forward with you? Pause in your final warrior two. Broaden across the chest. Keep your eye gaze towards your fingertips. Rotate your palms open. Broaden across the chest. But then turn the palms down just at the wrist. Stay nice and broad. Plant your front heel, your left heel down, connect it to that front glute. Maintain the shape in your lower body. Right hand goes in the small of your back. Scoop the left hand, forehand up, and reverse your warrior. Sweeping your arm up towards the ceiling. So you're taking a big side body bend, feeling sensation in the left leg. Noticing if that knee is still working towards the piggy toe in the front. Inhale here, exhale your arm back down, windmill the arms, hands go on the hips, pick up and pivot the toes, and then stay here with me for a wide-legged forward fold. If your chair is close by, you might choose to bring your chair into the practice. So if you want to get your chair, let's do that. If you want to get it, go ahead and heel your toe in, heel toe your feet in, and then find your chair. What I want you to avoid is after your legs have been open and all that warrior work, I don't want you to shift the weight to step. That can be kind of nasty on your hips. So be really gentle exiting out of that asana. Go ahead and heel toe your feet back into that wide straddle stance. And then placing your fingers into the backs of your hips, pull your hips back behind your heels and maintaining a flat back. So leading with the belly button, bring yourself down and either plant your hands in the chair seat, or maybe even plant your elbows down in the chair. Pause here with that flat back and just notice what's happening on the inside of the thighs as you move into that stretch. And then now you can let your head round and spine round a little bit, maybe placing the forehead on your chair. Or for some, if you're super, super flexible, you might even get rid of it. But that's not for all, okay? So if the chair helps you, please, please keep that as part of your prop. When we exit out of this position, we rounded the spine here, so we need to straighten it out again. So the first thing I want you to do is lift your eye gaze and start to flatten your back. Maybe walk up into the chair so that the shoulders and the hips are at the same level. Now push the weight into the heels, draw the navel to the spine, and rise up. So that's a wide-legged forward fold. All right, we'll add on to this wide-legged forward fold next week. Let's try one more time. Inhale your arms up. Exhale your arms down to your hips. Take your hips back behind your heels. That's your hip hinge. Draw your navel to your spine. Feel your flat back. And then notice when you bring your shoulders to your hips, your back is flat. Pause there with your hands on your hips, with your hands on the chair, or with your fingertips on the ground. Take an inhale here. Exhale, allow your spine to round a little bit now. Allow your head to hang a little heavy. You can do that from the chair or from the floor. Now to exit, on your inhale, lift your gaze, lengthen your spine, flatten your back out. Shoulders are in alignment with the hips. From here, press into the heels, feel your glutes turn on, and then rise back up to standing. Place your hands on your hips and heel toe your feet in. We're going to move into our plank to down dog series with the chair. If you don't have a chair, you might be able to use different props in the house, like a coffee table or the front of the couch. You just want to make sure whatever prop that you're using, it's secure. It's not going to slide. So we want to be careful here. So I know that my chair isn't going to slide on this mat, but if you're not so sure about the surface, you might make sure it's up against a wall or up against a couch or something so it'll keep from moving. Remember last week we did our Superman, where we took our arms out and we bent that bar. We pretended like we had a really, really heavy bar and we bent it to bring our elbows down to our sides. Maybe that activation helped us feel our lats, that big muscle, that lat muscle turn on. We're going to take that activation of the lat muscle, sorry about that pop in my mic, and plant our hands on the chair. Now allow your shoulders, see how my shoulders are more over my knuckles? So I'm going to allow my shoulders to come forward. I'm going to step one foot back and notice I'm in my foot fold in that back foot. And then I'm going to step the other foot back and I'm in my foot fold. So this won't feel like a plank on the floor. It should feel a bit easier than a plank. It might be a little tough on your wrists. So see if you can press your fingertips into the chair. Now to move from this plank to a down dog, I'm going to push my weight back to my heels as I lift my hips up into the sky. And then bend the knees a little bit. Let your eye gaze come down to the floor, or maybe back at your toes. And notice now how the weight is shifted from your hands, from your upper body, into your feet or your seat or your lower body. Draw your navel to your spine here. See if you can slide your shoulder blades down your back. Those are some activations that you might do in downward facing dog. And then we're going to transition from down dog into your plank. So inhale, look at your thumbs, lift your heels, exhale, shift. So the hips shift, the shoulders shift, and you move to your plank. Good. Inhale here. Exhale, lift your hips, send the hips back, move to your downward dog. Stay for a breath. And then on your next inhale, lift the heels, look at the thumbs. Exhale, transition into your plank. So just keep playing around with that. Try to move with your breath. Stay for a breath. And then move with your breath. I don't want you to get too worried about moving with your inhale or your exhale. There's typically times that you move with one or the other, but I want you to just explore, work on picking up the heels, letting the heels lift be the indication of your weight transfer. And then also in your downward dog, your knees can bend a lot. And let the breath begin to move you as you explore this work. So rather than thinking about, should I be inhaling or exhaling right now, just let the breath move you. Move when you want to move. Move when it feels right. Let's just do 2 more down dogs to planks here. And then after our second one, we're going to meet in downward facing dog. And if you just needed more time in down dog and you didn't love these transitions, that's fine. Kind of into these transitions. I think they really are informative. So we're going to meet in our down dog here. Here's how we're going to exit out of our dog. Bend the knees a little bit. On an inhale, look at your thumbs, lift the heels, drop your seat so your chest lifts, and step forward and step forward. We're going to come to mountain pose. Press through the heels, rise up, reach up. Exhale your arms down to your sides. All right, cool. We're going to make our way down to the floor right now. And I know for some of you, being on the floor isn't the best feeling in the world. And I'm going to encourage you to see if there's a way you can explore and make that work for you. I was thinking today, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to come down to tabletop position. But I was thinking today, gosh, I don't know, could you be on tabletop on your couch? Could this work for you? Maybe. I don't know. And then could you stay with us if you did this on your couch? So I know for some, last week they talked about the wrists being sore in this position. So we mentioned that fists for wrists is an option. So that can be an option for you. What I'd like for you to do is start to strengthen your wrists. So the first thing you can do is pretend like you have little cupcakes or like maybe silver dollars under the palms. And so the palms aren't quite touching the floor and you're more into your fingertips. See what that does to inform the strength of your wrists? Good. And we'll move into a cat-cow pose. So let the belly drop. Let the heart lift, the eye gaze lift, and the tail lift. Inhale here. And then exhale, round. Tuck your chin and tuck your tail. Let your back ribs open up to the ceiling, to the sky. Cat pose. On your next inhale, slightly pull the hands towards your trunk as you pull your belly button down to the floor and come into your cat pose. As you exhale and round into your cow pose. As you exhale and round into your cat pose, slightly push the hands away from the body, straightening out the arms. Inhale, finding your cow pose, soften the bend of the elbows, pulling the hands towards the body, create length in the spine, as if your spine's a rope. People are pulling it. Then on your next exhale, find your cat pose, and feeling the spine articulate in between each one of these movements. And then come to find your neutral. Just find what halfway between cat and cow feels like. If you need to change the wrists, get off of them, go fist for wrists. Or if you want to stretch them a little bit, take your right hand and turn it so your fingers are back towards your knees, and then slowly place the palm down. Feel that stretch, and then maybe send your hips back a little bit. You might feel that stretch all the way down into your fingers. Then, that's one way to get a stretch, is to send the hips back a little bit. Another way to get a stretch is to bend the elbow of the hand that's backwards towards the hip, and then peel the hand up, and then straighten out the elbow by peeling the hand back down. Big breath into that. Let's try that on the other side. So we're going to take our left fingertips, turn them back to the body. Take some time. So let the tissues, let the nervous system adapt to this. And then notice your hips are like your gas pedal. They're the indicator of how much sensation you can have in the body. So the more the hips go forward, maybe the less intense this feels. And then the more the hips move back, the more intensity, more stretch you can bring in. So it's up to you how much intensity you invite in right now. So bringing your hips to a place where it doesn't feel so intense. Can you do the one now where you bend the elbow back and peel the palm of the hand up and peel the fingers up? Get this delicious stretch in the fingers. You can feel it up into the forearms maybe. Now peel it down. Peel the fingers down and peel the palm down. Keep breathing. So if this is intense, notice what's called a fear-reactive breath when you come into intense moments, when you hold your breath. So keep breathing. The breath is a signal to the brain that it's all okay. So you don't want the system shut down. Good. Coming off our fingers, let's come to our back. Stay on your seat just for a minute. I'm going to demonstrate our core exercise that we're going to do today. And it's really important to me that you understand that when we're doing this core exercise, I'm going to cue you to walk your feet away and then lift your heels. So notice all I'm really having you do is point your toes and making sure that it's your toe points that are down. When I have you bring your leg up, I want the knee to be over the hip. And when you lower it back down, notice that the movement is happening in the hip. So a common mistake with this exercise is for people to do this, then this, then this, then this. When you're doing that, you're moving at the knee, right? So I want you to move at the hip, all right? So everybody come to their back, take your eye gaze to the ceiling, walk your feet a little bit away from your hips, try lifting your heels so your toes are pointed, and draw your navel to your spine here. So notice when the heels are lifted, how it might help you activate or turn the spine on. Good. And then feel your back body into the floor. Now, we didn't have a lot of time to set this up, but there's a natural curve in your lower back. So if you're gaining stability by flattening or pushing your back into the ground, go ahead and let that natural curve happen and work from the front a little bit more. Likewise, if you have this huge arch in your back and you're puffing up in your chest, bring the back ribs down to the mat so that you have your natural curve. Let's elevate the right leg by using the hip so that the shin is parallel with the ceiling and the knee is right over the hip. Pause here. Inhale, exhale, lower the toes down, pause, bring your left leg in. Shin is parallel with the ceiling, knee over the hip. Inhale here. Exhale, left toe down. Go to the right toes, lift, inhale. Exhale, lower down, lift, left leg, inhale. Lower down, exhale. Lift right leg, inhale. Try to move at the hip. And keep marching. Forget my cues for inhales and exhales. I want you to lift and lower on your cues. And then as you're lifting and lowering, start to bring your awareness to your core. So are you arching and lifting in your low back and trying to work from your back? Can you press the back ribs down, draw the navel to the spine, and use your core more? Using your deep inner core could feel like right now if you were wearing a corset and I was cinching the corset on your back and tightening it down. Can you feel all of that tissue hug toward the midline to stabilize you as you do these little taps, lifting and lowering the legs? Wherever you are, do however many more taps you need to even out the work. And then place your heels down and let your knees fall over to one side of the body. So enjoy that little twist. Arms are still out as in a kind of a T shape or out to the side. And then draw your navel to your spine, lift your knees back up to center, let them fall over to the other side. Getting a little twist in the other side of the body. I'm going to go a few minutes over like I do. I usually write 1 hour classes, so writing a 40-minute class, there's so much to cover. Bring your knees back up to center. We're going to do our bridges now. So arms are down to the sides this time. And now you can put your heels on the ground, lift and spread your toes, really feel your feet connecting with the ground. At this point, take your eye gaze up to the ceiling and keep it up to the ceiling. Try not looking around the room. And then press through your heels, lifting your hips up towards the ceiling. Open up the front of your hips here, slightly squeeze the bottom, or slightly squeeze your glutes to allow the fronts of the hips to open. And then we're going to perform a set of these. So lower the hips just before they touch the floor, but don't let them touch. Hover right here. Inhale here. Exhale, press it up for 10. Lower down and hover. Press up for 9. Start to connect with your breath. Inhale, lower. Press it up for 8. If you want to go slower than me, you can go slower. If you want to go a little bit faster than me, you can go a little bit faster. But notice if you have a pattern of going faster, keep moving. Like everything you do is faster. That could be a pattern of avoidance. So when we move really, really fast through an exercise, we're avoiding feeling it. And we're avoiding areas in the exercise where we might have some weakness or disconnection. And we're relying on momentum to get us through the exercise. So slower is harder. By the way, I'm going to do 2 more here. I've been counting down with my fingers. I don't know if you can see them. Wherever you are, can you do 1 more? Meet me at the top. Hold it at the top. This is your last one. Now find your heels and slightly pull your heels back towards your ears or towards your chin. Notice, feel the hamstrings light up a little bit there. Now push your hips a little bit higher. Inhale. Exhale, lower it down. Bring your right knee into your chest. Send your left leg long if your low back is okay with that. Find some circles in your right ankle. Take your circles in the opposite direction and even it out. Slide your left heel back in so that both knees are into the chest. Hug around your shin bones and rock side to side a little bit. Then draw your left knee into your chest, send your right foot down to the ground. Maybe you want to just stay right there. The low back doesn't want any more than that. Or maybe you slide your right leg long, finding your circles in your left ankle, spreading toes. Bring your left leg down to the ground, your left foot, so your left knee is bent. Take your right leg and cross it over the top. For reclined pigeon pose, opening up through the right knee, flexing at the right ankle, drawing the toes back to the shin. Lift your left foot up off the ground. Maybe bind behind the left hamstring and bring that whole unit of your legs into your chest. Don't go any deeper than you need to, just to get a little sensation and stretch, maybe in the right hip. Breathe. And lower that foot down, switch, find it on the other side. Right foot goes down, knee is bent, left foot comes up and over. It's important to breathe in whatever shape that you're in. Because if you're in a shape and you can't breathe, you're in that fear-reactive breath, then you need to change the shape, maybe. Maybe that's an indication that you're in the wrong shape if you can't breathe. Sometimes it's just a pattern. Sometimes you've just gotten in the habit of holding your breath when you concentrate. So take the moment to explore and find the breath in your shape. Make sure it's a safe shape. Use the breath to communicate it to the body if it is. Come out of your pose. Keep your knees bent if you wish to for your final relaxation, your Shavasana, or slide your legs long. So this is that moment when we're really quiet in class and it doesn't look like we're doing anything, but you are. You're in a pose. It's called corpse pose. And for some, it can be challenging to find stillness. Some of us can be guided by our monkey minds that are constantly telling us to go, do. Our mind is that place that keeps lists going. It's that place that tells the story and tells us the story. We're going to use this opportunity to try to soften all the muscles in the face, particularly in the jaw. The best way to soften the jaw is to open up your bite a little bit. So take your teeth away from one another. And pull your tongue away from your teeth, the roof of the mouth. Let the jaw get heavy. And when the mind wants to tell you a story or refer you to lists or send you into the future and the past, just tell yourself, I'm breathing in. And breathing out. And breathing in. Allow yourself to get a little heavier in the mat as you just practice being here now, in this moment. Do a quick scan through the body and see if you have any other places where you're holding on to unnecessary tension. See if you can let go, relax, soften, surrender. If you'd like to continue to enjoy your Shavasana, you can stay right here and stop listening to any instructions. If you'd like to end class seated today, consider bringing your right knee into your chest and your left knee into your chest. Roll over onto your right side. Make a little pillow under your head. Pause just for a moment. Moving slowly and intentionally with your breath. And maybe make a pact to yourself to try to be more intentional in something in the rest of today. Something that you do, try to breathe through what you're doing and be more connected to that thing that you're doing and letting the breath guide you. And press up to a seat. And if a seat for you means being in a chair, then by all means get to the most comfortable seat you can find. I'm going to sit crisscross applesauce, but it doesn't mean that you have to. You can bring your hands to this shape in front of your chest called Anjali Mudra, our prayer hands. It's a pleasure and an honor to get to share this practice with all of you. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next week.